Hi there and welcome to my channel. I'm Jennifer and this is A Country Life, and that is my freezer right now, at least one of them. This is the freezer that we have in our kitchen. By the end of this week, I want to have gone through and used up most of everything that is in here. We have some blueberries, which I actually am going to be using right now. I have a ham bone. I have some chicken wings, I believe. I have some more chicken. We have some fish. I have some cotija or something, cheese, a little bit of ice cream. That won't be a problem at all to use up. Over here, what do I have? Ice packs, don't need to do anything with that. This, I think, yes, some tomato paste. I have some roast beef. This is another ham something or another. All right, so I have all kinds of things in here. And like I said, by the end of the week, we are going to get this stuff all used up and see what kind of meals we can make by just going to the freezer and getting things cleared out. But first up, it is Mother's Day today, so happy Mother's Day to all of you moms out there. Something that just really went through my mind today in church is that, I've been mothering for a lot of years now, so I think my mindset is a little bit different than when I was a brand new mom, but I really just had this strong feeling that on Mother's Day, it's a day for us moms, or at least this is what I was thinking. It's a day for us to honor our moms and for us to serve our children. They are the reason that we are moms after all. So let's treat them like the blessing that they are. All right, I am making some bars for today. Warren has invited our older kids over for a cookout tonight. It's raining. Hopefully things clear up. But this is what I want to make today. I've never made, which one am I making? Blueberry buckle? Okay, let's hope I'm following the right recipe here. Blueberry crunch cobbler. And so I've already mixed together the flour, the oatmeal, the brown sugar, and the butter. Now, it says melted. I just didn't want to melt the butter. I guess I thought if I'm supposed to make like crumbs, like the recipe says, it should just be soft butter. And I just cut it in like this. So over here, I have my 9x13 pan. The recipe called for pulling out 2 cups of the crumbs and pressing it into the bottom of the pan. And now I need to take blueberries. I need 6 cups. So this is going to be about 4 cups of blueberries. It's a quart bag. And I'm going to look through the freezer and see if I have any more up here. Otherwise, I will have to go and get some out of one of the other freezers. But like I said, the goal is to get everything used up that is in this upstairs freezer. Well, happy Monday. It is lunchtime, and let me just show you what I have going by using things in my freezer. So first off, I took out this package of chicken breast strips, and this is some pre-cooked chicken. It looks a little icy. I'm gonna let it thaw and assess the situation then. I don't really know what exactly I'm going to do with this, but I do know that I'm going to use this up tonight. And then looking through the freezer, yesterday I was searching for the half a package of blueberries and I couldn't find them. And then today I opened up the freezer and there they are. So I wish I would have seen those because I could have used those in that dessert that I made yesterday, which was delicious. Everybody really liked that. And we served it up with a little Cool Whip after our Mother's Day cookout, and it was very good. And then you also saw last night I made the cheesy potatoes. Well, I mean, in complete honesty, I just bought these hash browns yesterday. That wasn't something that's been lurking in the back corners of my freezer. I just bought them yesterday, but now I'm left with this little amount here because they're no longer 32-ounce bags of hash browns. So I needed to get, oh, there's the microwave. So I needed to buy 2 bags. So what I'm gonna do tonight though for supper is, along with that chicken, whatever I decide to do with that chicken, I'm also going to cook these up in my cast iron pan and get those used up. And I think I'll put some peppers. I don't think I have any chopped onions in here, but I do have chopped peppers I'll use up. And then I also have back here, I'm gonna keep this in the freezer for now, but I have some of this grill ready. It's already pre-cooked chicken. There's just a little bit. So I'm gonna kind of mix all of those chickens together and come up with some sort of supper to go with that. But right now it's lunch, and I actually lifted something off of here, and I see that I have some of these hash brown patties, which I did not know that I had. And so I'm gonna get some of those onto the stove for lunch, and we're just going to eat those along with yesterday's leftovers, which is a couple of brats and some venison mini roasts and venison steak. I have a plan now made for supper. I am going to put these, this is a bag of the ready to roast Mediterranean vegetables. I get these at Aldi, and I'm just going to put a little bit of olive oil over top, kind of just spread it out maybe. Okay, so these are good. I've had these vegetables many times already. The baking instructions do say that they should bake for 40 to 45 minutes. I feel like that's always been just a smidge long, so I'm going to set the timer for 35 minutes. We'll check them then. And then along with that, I already mentioned to you, I'm going to make the hash browns. All right, hash browns are going in a little bit of bacon grease over here. Make sure you give your hash browns plenty of time to brown before trying to turn them. And the same goes for chicken too. So I just season this up with pepper and seasoned salt in a little bit of bacon grease. And then, like I can tell, yep, see how they're just kind of turning over without sticking to the bottom of the pan? If you don't give them enough time, they'll actually stick. And like this one, well, I guess it's not sticking, but usually if they're not like brown enough on one side, they'll actually stick to the pan, even if you do have some oil or some sort of fat in there. So I have a couple apples I'm going to get washed up and sliced. And here's what supper looks like tonight, just pulling bags and using up things that were in the freezer. To me, it looks like a pretty good supper. So for today, for my attempt at using up everything in this upstairs freezer, we are finishing up the hash browns here for lunch. We're going to have some bacon, eggs. That wasn't in the freezer though. And then on top of the eggs, I was just going to put a little sprinkling of green peppers. And that's really all I could pull out of the freezer here for lunch today. Let's open the freezer for today. And where did my meat go? No, somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay, so for today, I'm going to pull out this roast beef for lunch. We have a couple hamburgers left from last night's supper, but it's not going to be enough. So I'm going to pull out this roast beef here. And then I also am going to get these chicken wings pulled out so these can thaw. Well, it's a miracle. I actually got the chicken to thaw. I tipped it upside down in a sink of like medium-ish temperature water, and then as soon as it got icy cold from this, thawing, I just kept draining it and putting in sort of like a very I don't even know if I would call it lukewarm, but anyway, I got it thawed, and I'm happy because it's already 5 o'clock, and these are going to need to go for about 45 minutes. So what I'm going to do with these now is put them all on the cookie sheet here. And if I remember correctly, my recipe I think is in book 1 for seasoned chicken wings. I'm going to put them skin side down. I'm going to sprinkle them with, all right, remember just the other day I just picked these up from Aldi and I said I didn't really have a plan, but they come in handy. It's not the Good Seasons brand Zesty Italian, which is what I usually like to use, but it's going to work just fine. I could always add a little extra sprinkling of garlic on top if I want. I'll think about that. But I'm just going to get these skin side down, season them up, put them into the oven for about 25 minutes, bring them out, flip them over, put more seasoning on them, put them in the oven for about another 25 minutes. So the first 25 minutes are up. I'm going to get all of these flipped over. I'm going to put more seasoning on them, put them in for another 25 minutes because I really want that skin to get kind of a crispiness. That's what makes it taste so delicious. Alright, so along with our chicken, I'm going to make some sweet green peas. I'm just going to put some water in here, simmer these, drain them, add some butter and salt, and that is going to be our vegetable to go along with our chicken tonight. Well, earlier today when I was putting the peanut butter balls into the freezer, so that's something new. That isn't one of the things we're trying to use up, although, you know, we'll eat those up in a jiffy. I did see way back there was this package, and it has in here 2 chicken patties. So I'm going to get that out for lunch and make those. This we're going to throw away. This is actually an ice cream sandwich that I wanted to try some different flavors one time when they were on sale at Pick and Save, and this was the s'mores flavor. And can you see? Nobody likes it. When the kids ask for a snack, I say, you know, that ice cream sandwich is still in the freezer. Nobody wants to eat it. So that's just going to go in the garbage finally. And then I also am going to make some orange juice to go along with our lunch today. This is sad. This is the strawberry rhubarb ice cream. And I open it up and I take a little spoonful, but we just don't like it. So I think that's just going to have to end up getting thrown out. And I have been adding peppers. Every time we have eggs, I add peppers, but I mean, you can only add so many peppers to like 3 eggs. So I don't know if we're going to be able to use those all up. I do have these blueberries here, which is just enough to make a batch of blueberry muffins. So maybe I'm going to have to get on that this afternoon. And then remember the roast beef that I took out of the freezer on, I don't know, yesterday was that? And anyway, it's finally thawed. Just made sandwiches with a little leftover bacon and lettuce and roast beef and pepper jack cheese on the sourdough bread. I did toast it like in the oven, so it only got toasted on one side. We have some oranges along with that. One kid is going to have mandarin oranges. One kid wanted a banana with oranges, so we're going to make some sandwiches for everybody else here. Get that done, and lunch is served. All right, Joe. Good morning once again. I have my freezer door open here, and I'm going to be pulling out these blueberries here, which looks to be just enough for a batch, just a small batch of blueberry muffins. Oh shoot, we had eggs this morning and I forgot to put peppers in them. All right. And I also think, yes, I have some rhubarb here. This is not going to be enough, so I am going to have to pull up another package from the basement, but I thought that I would also make a rhubarb dessert. That is Warren's favorite dessert. It's early enough in the day that I can get this made because it has some steps and you got to let it cool and things like that. And I would say that I'm doing a pretty good job. I'm actually going to just pull this ice cream out because we are not going to eat that. Such a bummer. And what else do I have? I do have this ham bone. I could pull that out right now. I better just leave it in there and not get too excited here. I have some half and half, and so I'm just going to mix half and half with milk. I need 1 cup, and I don't have a lot of uses for the half and half, and I don't want it to go to waste, so. My low battery light is flashing, and my other battery is on the charger right now, so you're not going to see everything when it comes to making these blueberry muffins, but this recipe is on page 46 in volume 2. It is basic. I'll see if I can rattle off the ingredients for you quick. 2 eggs, a cup of milk, a half cup of oil, 3 cups of sifted flour, 1 cup sugar, 1 teaspoon salt, 4 teaspoons baking powder, and 2 cups of blueberries. Mix it up. preheat your oven to 375 degrees, put this into a muffin pan, and bake it for about 15 minutes. Well, the battery I had on the charger must have already been partially charged because look at this, I'm back with a charged battery. So here is the batter. It can be kind of lumpy and thick. That is actually just how you want this one. Now over here I actually have a mini muffin pan sprayed, and I'm going to do 24 minis and then whatever I have left. Whenever I make muffins, at least as of late, I've been making some minis, and then I send them with my grandkids because they like these mini muffins. Pretty much any flavor it seems like they like. So I'm going to do that and send those home with them, and then whatever's left will be for us. And for mini muffins, oh, there's lawn mowing going on in the background. For mini muffins, what I like to do is use one of these little cookie scoops, and I just put one like basically level scoop in each one, and the muffin gets to be just the right size. So the mini muffins were in at 375 for 10 minutes. I just popped a couple out, because I could smell something burning, but I think there was a drip of something on the bottom of the stove. Because I was like, oh no, did the bottoms of these burn? But they did not. Let's check the ones that were towards the back. Oh no, but see, I have a couple blueberries there. Maybe that's what I was smelling too. Sometimes if you get the blueberries right up along the edge, then they get a little bit overcooked in my opinion. But that's okay. That's how blueberry muffins are. We're gonna set it for another 5 on the big ones and check them at 15 minutes. And now I actually just pulled out cookbook number 1, and I'm on page 54, and I'm going to do the rhubarb custard dairy bar. And I actually went down and got another bag. It's a little icy here, but I'm going to separate this, get this rinsed, and I'm actually just going to go for it. I'm going to use all of it, even though it calls for, yeah, 6 cups. That one says 6 cups, and there's probably 2 cups left in this one. I'm just going to go for it, because when you use frozen rhubarb, if you let it thaw a little bit, it will compact and it takes up less space. And I don't want to end up with another half bag, because the goal is to try to use up everything in that darn freezer so that I can clean it out, wipe everything down, and then just kind of start fresh in there. All right, so I brought in some butter because I need a cup of butter, and I'm going to mix together 2 cups of flour with 4 tablespoons of regular granulated white sugar. Once that is mixed up, then I'm going to cut in my 1 cup of butter. Now sometimes I will do this in my food processor. That works. Today, I'm just not. Alright, this butter is really hard, so it's going to take a little bit to get this done. It's a good arm workout. That's what I always think about when I'm doing this. Regular size muffins are out, and I just love this recipe because I love the way the muffins, they kind of like start to brown around the edge, and then all of a sudden it's like the baking powder activates and they just poof right up. And they're so tall. And they're just so pretty. I mean, look at that one. That is huge. These are prettier, though, with the blueberries. Those are not quite as high, but I just love the way these look. Let me see if I can I pull one out? Ooh, they're hot, 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 hot. They literally just came out. Okay, let's look. Ooh, hot. So look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? So I just got out my 9x13 Pyrex. That's just a glass baking dish. I have my crumbs here. I'm going to get those poured in. We're going to get that pressed down. I reheated my oven for 350, which just means I canceled out the 375. And I quick set it for 350, and it's already preheated. Of course it is. And we're just going to get this pushed in here as even as possible. I'm going to put this into bake for 10 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to use the same bowl, and I'm going to mix up my eggs, sugar, flour, salt, heavy cream, or 2% milk, which, look what I'm going to do. I'm going to use up my half and half, which is going to work great, and all of my rhubarb. Is that going to fit into this bowl? All of that? It's gonna be tight. But I don't want to dirty any more dishes. I just don't. So the crust just came out of the oven. That was in for 10 minutes. I'm going to immediately pour over the rhubarb mixture. This is like the rhubarb custard mixture here. And I am going to have to get a spatula to scrape that out. And I like to just spread the rhubarb, you know, into all the corners, making sure that it has a good even layer. And remember, mine is frozen. I did rinse it really well with water to get any little ice crystals off, but some of them are still kind of frozen together. And I'm going to put this in the oven, still at 350 for 50 minutes or until the custard is well set. I put this back in for an extra 5 minutes after the 50-minute timer went off, and I know I said until the custard is done. Well, if you've never made anything custardy, like a pumpkin pie, you might be wondering, well, how do I know? Basically, some people just prefer a softer set custard. Some prefer it much more done. We are on the much more done side of things, but I can tell just by kind of shaking this, and there isn't a whole lot of jiggle. There's a little bit of liquid. Like, it's hard to see because it's already just cooling a bit. It's already kind of setting up. So I can just tell there's really no jiggle to it. And I've made this enough times that I know what it should look like around the edge too. And that's done. So that was 55 minutes for me at 350. Now this is where this recipe actually takes some time, because you have to let this cool completely before making the topping. The topping is cream cheese, sugar, vanilla, and Cool Whip. And, you know, you don't want to put that kind of thing on to anything that's hot at all, because it'll get kind of melty and yucky. So anyway, let this cool completely, and I will be back to put the topping on. I don't know when. Happy Sunday afternoon to everybody. I am getting ready to put together a tater tot casserole, and I'm going to do something I've never done before, and that is to throw in some green peppers. Normally, it's just the ground venison, which is what I have here. It's 2 pounds. I have an onion in here, and it wasn't even a whole onion, because when I cut into the onion, it was soft. Not soft, it was bad in the middle. Soft onions are fine when you're cooking them down, but it was actually had a rotten, like, center. So it's not a lot of onion in there. I always do 2 cans of cream something. I'm going to do mushroom and chicken today, and a can of mixed vegetables. And again, depending on how many I'm going to be feeding, sometimes I'll throw in 2 cans of canned vegetables. But today I'm going to put in some green peppers. Is the family going to be mad? I don't know. Are they even going to notice? I don't know. But I'm going to put in probably not a lot, maybe only like a half a cup. Just because I'm still working at utilizing everything in my freezer. So today's attempt to use up everything in that freezer, I pulled out this ham bone, an hour ago or so. I'll be making very loosely the Kentucky potato soup. When I say that, I'm really just going to be using these seasonings like the basil, the celery salt, the parsley, chicken bouillon, that kind of thing. I have some ingredients over here. I think these are the ingredients in that recipe. I'm really just making a crock pot ham potato vegetable soup. Fill it up with some water, and that will be soup here today. All right, at this point I have in the ham bone down there. I have 3 carrots, 3 ribs of celery, including the leaves chopped, and I have 6, they were very small red potatoes, and I have 1 small onion in there. Did notice that the Kentucky potato soup recipe does not call for carrots, but I wanted carrots in the soup, so I put them in the soup. And then I have equivalent to 2 chicken bouillon cubes, a teaspoon of seasoned salt, a teaspoon of basil, and a 1/4 teaspoon of parsley. And, you know, as you're putting in a 1/4 teaspoon of parsley, or as I was putting in the 1/4 teaspoon of parsley, I was like, what's even the point? A 1/4 teaspoon in all of this. But I was just trying to follow the recipe as best I could. That's a lie, right? Because I wasn't really following it much at all. Okay, and that was 4 cups of water. I'm going to cover this. I'm going to let this go on low basically all day. In about 2 hours, I'll come by and I'm going to stir it all up to be sure that all of the vegetables kind of have an equal time getting into the liquid. At whatever point that the vegetables are all tender in there, I'm going to pull that ham bone out and then let it cool just enough so I can start to handle it, and then I'll start pulling off whatever meat I can find. I didn't even look at the ham bone, honestly, when I put it in there to see if it was meaty or not. It's just more the flavor, and if I actually get ham that I can cut off, that's just going to be a bonus to the soup. I'm really just going to call this potato soup to my family so that they're not expecting a whole ton of ham and then be like, well, where's the ham? And if ham turns up, it's going to be a bonus. Okay, now that the soup is going, I am also going to pull out these ingredients here, which this is some tomato paste, and I have a little bit of spaghetti sauce. That's a homemade spaghetti sauce in there. And I also have this 1-pound package of venison Italian sausage, these green peppers, and I'm also going to find my almost empty thing of jalapenos, which is right here, and then these jalapenos here, and I don't know if I'm going to put all of that in. That looks like that could make it kind of spicy, but I'm going to mix all of that with a can of Hunt's spaghetti sauce that I picked up at Piggly Wiggly this morning, and I'm actually going to make a spaghetti sauce. Oh, nice. All right, well, that worked way better than I anticipated. Both frozen tomato things just popped right out. And now we're going to add it all to with that can of tomato or spaghetti sauce. And this is just a nice way to kind of use up those little bits. I always hate throwing away little bits of tomato paste. And I know there's that squeeze tube of tomato paste for times when you only need 1 or 2 tablespoons, but even that would probably sit in my fridge for a long time. I'd feel like I'd have to freeze that too. So if you find yourself at that point where you're like, we've already had spaghetti 4 meals in a row, we still have a cup or a half a cup or something of spaghetti sauce, don't throw it away. Just put it in a little container, label it, put it in the freezer, and the next time you make something like that, lasagna, spaghetti sauce, you know, just really anything like that, just pull that out, thaw it, and pop it in with whatever it is you're making. Hopefully we eat this up. We don't have extras that I have to like pop in the freezer again, but we'll see. In go the green peppers, all of them. Yay, I got rid of another thing from the freezer. And you can bet this is gonna go in the sink and get washed. I am not gonna throw that bag away. And I'm really unsure about the jalapenos. I don't think I should put many in. I just don't want it to be too spicy. There we go. That was probably a 1/4 cup total that I put in there, and I have about a 1/4 cup left, but I just don't want it to be too spicy. Back to the freezer these go. I'm gonna put the cover on this now and put this on low. Somebody left a really great tip in the comments in one of the last probably like 5 or 6 videos, and they said that when they put frozen meat in a skillet to brown it, What they do is they add a half cup or a cup, I don't remember which, of water, and as that water steams, that also helps to thaw the meat faster. So I'm gonna give that a try today. I have a little bit of water in there, and I'm going to cover it with this lid. Do you guys have things in your kitchen that you're like, where did I ever get that, and how old is it? This lid, believe it or not, actually used to have like a black coating on it, and I think, and when it started to peel off, Warren actually took it out to the shop, and he did something and got all of the black coating off of it for me because I liked the lid. And I mean, bent, whatever. I don't know if I picked it up at a garage sale or if it was just a hand-me-down somewhere, but it works and I like it a lot, and I would never want to replace it with anything new. The water really is working wonders. I did just turn it up a little higher because the thing is, I want that water to evaporate off. I really don't want to have to, I guess I don't want to have to drain all that water away. I feel like there's going to be a lot of seasoning in there with this type of meat. Maybe this wasn't the best choice to do it with a sausage that has seasoning in it. But anyway, it did thaw it literally like lickety-split. I'm just going to let it go a little bit until more of that water evaporates away, and then I'm going to add that to the spaghetti sauce in the crock pot. So after slow cooking for a good part of the day, I did change it to warm because it was starting to get like dark around the edges here, so I did just put it on warm. This is how we're serving up the use up everything in the freezer spaghetti. So I'm wrapping up the soup making here. I just picked all of the meat off of the bones, off of the ham bone here, and I got a good amount, like 2 cups of ham, which is really great. I'm going to get that stirred in here, and then I'm just going to let this cool off until, well, it's 8:30 here. I'm going to let this cool off until we're ready to go to bed, and then I'm going to put it in the fridge, bring this out, and this will be probably tomorrow night's supper. The next day here now, and I'm just bringing out the ham and potato soup or ham and vegetable soup to warm up in my crock pot. I should probably turn it on though. I plugged it in and forgot to turn it on. So to low, this was not in this freezer, you know, the one in my kitchen. I did have these naans in a different freezer. They're back from January 31st. I had picked them up at $2 off, popped them in the freezer, and I'm finally bringing those out. So I have cranberries here. I always have cranberries. It isn't like, oh my goodness, this is the last of them and I need to use it up. But anyway, they're in this upstairs freezer, so I want to get those used up. I'm pretty sure I'm going to make cranberry bread. It's starting to get easier to see what I have. I have whole wheat flour, which I'm not going to try to use up. Looks like I have some duck here. It looks iffy. It looks iffy. It looks like I have some more duck or goose. I wish that would have a label on it. I have to get Peter in the habit of labeling it. Sometimes he forgets, and I don't always know what it is, but maybe he'd want to make some jerky. He loves to do that, and it's a great use for duck and goose is to do jerky. I don't need to use up these yeasts. And I do still have a turkey leg back here. Up top I have a little bit of fish. I still have that, I think it's pronounced cotilla, some cheese. I still have lots of jalapenos. What am I going to do with all those jalapenos? What do I have? These are some snack sticks that we had gotten from a friend. There's honey ham flavor, and then these are original. The original ones, I'll pull those out for this weekend. I know we'd like to do a little boating. I am doing a double batch, so I'm making 2 large loaves of the cranberry bread. I already zested the oranges, and now what I have to do, if you're doing a single batch, like if you're following along with the recipe in the cookbook, which this is on page 38 in cookbook number 1, you'd only be using 1 orange. And then I have this little juicer thing I lost. Something happened to the bottom, so I just have to use a sour cream container. And basically I just juice it, spinning it all around until I get all the juice out. And it's okay if you get a little pulp. So then all of that pulp that kind of juiced out too, I'm going to add that. And I'm going to pour that in here. Whatever amount of juice you get, you just add water, cold water, up to the 1.5 cup mark. I need 2 eggs. And now I'm just going to get that all mixed well. Whoops, let's plug in. All right, that's mixed really well. So now I'm going to start mixing in all the dry ingredients. So that's going to be the flour, the baking powder, baking soda, salt, and sugar. I did just a real quick blend of all of the ingredients. I don't want to over mix it at this point because I know I'm going to have to be stirring in the cranberries and the walnuts, and you don't really want to over mix your quick breads because they can get tough. They also can get more of like a peaked top instead of a nice rounded top. So don't over mix your quick breads or your muffins. I always go with a heaping cup of cranberries. So that was 2 heaping cups of cranberries for this recipe. And look at that, I still have cranberries left in here. And I'm going to leave the nuts pretty big. You can grind them up if you like, and a lot of times I do, but sometimes I just feel like putting in the big pieces. Now I can do another mix, and not a lot. And then I'll fold everything over from the bottom because I know that the bottom is going to be a little thin when it comes to cranberries and nuts, since I don't want to overmix it. Yeah, so I always just kind of do a quick fold over, which is different than a comb over. If you snickered at that a little bit, thank you, because my family would never laugh at that joke. Heard this one yesterday at the library. What do you call a bear without teeth? A gummy bear. Okay, so I'm just kind of folding this over just to make sure that I get those cranberries and nuts all the way down to the bottom where it's thinner. All right, so now what I'm going to do is get this into loaf pans, and I'm going to make a full-size loaf, a big loaf, and then I'm going to make some small loaves. And then whichever of my kids comes to visit me first, I'll send one of these home with them. Okay, these are going to go in the oven at 350 degrees for an hour. Sometimes this size here will have to go for an hour and 10 minutes. And this size here for maybe 50 to 55 minutes. And that brings me to the end of this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and this wasn't supposed to necessarily be a video with, you know, a whole bunch of new or fancy recipes. Just my goal here was for you to get a little inspiration to just dig around in your freezer and find some things and stop running to the grocery store every single day and just make yourself spend a little bit of time in your kitchen using up the things that you already have. I know that that is very normal for a whole lot of us, especially if you're at a certain age, might I say. But there's also a large group of people that, you know, maybe they find being in the kitchen sort of daunting and they feel like they need an exact recipe with the exact ingredients. You can still make your family something very delicious with almost the ingredients and almost a recipe. Just look around in your freezer, get some inspiration from videos like this, or there's so many cooking videos out there, or cooking magazines. Get a little inspiration and then just run with it. Say, you know what, I know what is in a basic soup. There's some salt and some pepper and some broth and some meat and some veggies and maybe rice or noodles or barley, and just kind of do something like that. Just make something kind of as you go. It works great. Hello? What's with the hug?
Just want one.
You just want one? Mm-hmm. All right, well thanks. I'm just ending a video here right now. Mm-hmm. So that's it. I'm gonna give you a peek of the cranberry bread when it comes out of the oven, and I didn't use everything in the freezer, but I made a good dent, and now it's going to be time to wipe it all down and get it all sparkling and ready to pack full again. You guys have a great weekend, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.